Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today we are going to be talking about Kiahna's experience working at Disney World. Tune in today on this week's episode of the Perfectly Honest podcast.
Hey guys, it's Kiahna.
Co-host. With me, Michael, co-host.
Is that the new thing?
No, I just thought it'd be funny.
And if I'm being perfectly honest, I cut my finger on a can of black beans tonight.
Oh my gosh.
Which I feel like
I almost threw up.
my mother's voice was like,
I did.
okay, hey.
It's about me now. So.
My mother's voice was like echoing through my head. Like, don't lift the top of the can with your finger. Like, get a fork or a knife or a spoon to like lift up the sharp edges so that you can get the beans out. And I thought, oh no, I'm just going to do it with my finger. And I sliced it so bad. And then Michael got home and I said, look what I did to my finger.
I looked away.
And he's like, ugh.
I couldn't do it. It
wasn't even that gnarly. He was just being a baby.
I really am bad with that stuff. It's amazing that I survived the first delivery with Coleman. But I did. So, that's that. But maybe it's because that was supposed to happen. Cutting your finger, I don't know. And I get weird when it's like round fingers, nails. Anyway, if I'm being perfectly honest, I had food poisoning a little over a week ago.
I forgot that happened.
I know. It was awful. It was so awful. I was down for the count. I've never had food poisoning before. And I know it was food poisoning because usually sorry, TMI, I'll only throw up like one time, like during like a flu or something. And this was like an all day
marathon.
Extravaganza.
It was so sad.
It was really rough. And Kiahna gets really frustrated when I'm sick. So that was hard too. Just kidding.
Don't throw me under the bus like that.
I'm just kidding.
I was so
kidding.
nice to you when you
No,
were
but
sick.
you do get frustrated because you don't want me to be sick, of course. Because she's so sweet. She gets frustrated.
I don't think we should dive into this. I already give Michael very special treatment and privileges.
Yeah.
And so
she treats me really well. So like when I'm sick, it's
when you're sick,
really?
I feel like I don't have anything extra to give. Because
Yeah.
I'm always like, let me make you food.
Yeah, you're like,
you
it's the
sleep
same.
in. It's okay.
Yeah, you're like, so today, I'm like, I'm so sick. And you're like, yeah, so today it's the same? Like every other day? Huh? Okay, here's your slop.
Slop.
No, she treats me way better than anyone else's wife out there. I mean, seriously, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Stop.
I really like have the best wife. She treats me so well. And I like we to the point where we're like we have to figure out like how's Michael going to contribute and so I can't get sick because it's just frustrating.
No,
for everybody.
I just need to be nicer to you when you're sick, and I need to let you pull your weight more when you're not sick.
When I'm not sick, yeah, that's true. I'm like, you sure you don't need anything? You're like, just sit down and relax. And you know what? Okay, this is what I will say. We did talk about this. It's wonderful to serve your spouse in your marriage.
Yes.
That's just a wonderful thing to do.
Yeah.
And
But,
for both sides.
What is also
You got to find your way to serve.
wonderful is working alongside your spouse.
Yes, that's true too.
Also.
Like in this podcast. So
Together.
okay, this episode's all about Kiahna again. In
Again
in the best way.
Oh my goodness.
No, I love it because I get to be the interviewee.
Oh yeah. Do you have questions?
I will as we go along. Prepared? So, Kiahna, let's talk about your Walt Disney World experience of working.
Okay, so the reason why I thought it'd be fun to bring this up, I was teaching a lesson in Young Women's on Sunday, and I mentioned an experience I had when I was working at Disney World. And so, of course, I had to say that phrase when I was working at Disney World. And all of the girls were like, what? You worked at Disney World? And I was
no
like,
way.
I was like, oh, I should have started with that when I was like introducing myself. I should have. I don't know. It's just like a fun fact that I've kind of forgotten about. But when it comes up, people are like, what? You did what?
Yeah.
So if you've never heard of the Disney College Program, it is a great experience. Would highly recommend looking into it, applying, whatever. But it's basically this opportunity for college students to go and work at Disney World or Disneyland.
Is that like over the summer, or
It can be any.
It could be any time, just
Yeah,
like when
so
you're off school.
it's usually
kind of
when
thing.
you have an off semester. So I did it from August to December.
Yeah.
So that was like end of summer, fall into winter.
Yes.
But I mean, you could be accepted at a different time. You could go in January or whatever.
Yes. Yes.
And you get assigned to a certain park. You get fit with a job that they think will suit you and your personality and like how you'll best serve the kingdom.
The kingdom of Mickey. Walt Disney God.
But I have some, like, my very first semester at school, I had roommates who had just gotten back from their Disney College program, and they were like, yeah, you should do it. And so I applied kind of on a whim, and I got in, which some people apply multiple times and they don't get it.
Yeah.
It can be kind of competitive. And I got assigned to work in Florida at Disney's Hollywood Studios as a showkeeper. That is just a fancy word for a custodian.
Yes.
But we do keep the show going. I will say that much.
Yeah. But you've talked to me a couple times about this. I'm like, was that an awful experience, or like, was that something that you were just, because like this is still Disneyland,
right?
I mean, Disney World, yeah,
different.
Yeah, but like still, like, how was that experience being in that, like, versus like this is what we really talked about was, versus like being a princess or something, right? Something that like someone might look at and be like, that's a more important job,
or more glamorous or whatever.
Yeah, but it's like are you really doing the grunt work, or are you happy that you were in that position?
So I was so excited actually to get it because I love cleaning. I think the reason I got that job is because I talked about cleaning a lot in my interview. On accident. It wasn't like I was going for custodian.
Yeah, you're just like, I just left. Wait,
no,
really? You did that?
Yeah.
So
it was like she was asking about conflict management, and I was like, oh, something that's really helped me in my apartment and like learning how to be with roommates is just cleaning up after them. And just like serving them and whatever.
You're like, oh my gosh, like Windex, best friend.
I love it.
Oh man. Let me go. I could really go for some pledge right now. Just like wiping down this table right now.
Anyways, so like
you were like egging them on. They're like, come on, you want to be custodian.
You want to be a custodian.
Yeah. How do you feel about that trash can? I want to take it out.
Oh, that was really good.
They're like, you're high.
Anyways, so I'm not like a hard person to please, I don't think. I think I can be happy doing
That's true.
like pretty weird or annoying or menial tasks.
Yeah.
And so I
to the point where like, are you okay? like, are you having fun? Yes, I'm doing fine.
I'm gonna pee my pants.
She's also been drinking a lot of water today. Perfectly honest moment. Don't make the pregnant lady laugh.
Let me talk.
Okay.
So I was excited for it, and I got there, and moving to Florida, first of all, I had like never really left the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
And so packing up and moving to a place I'd never been, I was like really scared. But I did it. Stop.
I'm sorry. I'm just still laughing from before. I'm sorry. Okay, let's just go back. Just like restart that. That was really good.
I was really nervous to pick up and move to Florida.
Yes, yeah.
And that was really scary. This is the first time for everything. I mean, I think that's similar to what people feel when they pack up and leave on a mission, except that's a lot longer of a commitment than the Disney College program was.
Right. But that's a different place. Like Florida,
right?
You would like when I went to Florida, I thought, oh, it's just gonna be like California.
No,
right? But
it's not.
It's very different. It's very humid.
Yeah, I hopped off the plane at LAX with my dream and my cardigan. No, I hopped off.
No,
the plane.
not LAX.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, you were doing the song. Yeah, I was like, what are you talking about?
Okay, so I hopped off the plane in Florida.
Yeah, whatever that airport is.
Yeah, and immediately the humidity hits you like a ton of bricks, and you're like, is this my new life? Will I ever not be sweaty?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. But I was so fortunate that I was able to find 2 other girls who also attended BYU Idaho to be roommates with, which was another kind of nerve-wracking thing to figure out.
Yeah, and you're still friends, right?
Yeah, one of them is getting married this weekend, which is so exciting.
Yeah, shout out.
Yeah. So that made it a lot easier living with other people who had similar standards.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just talking about like all the background information and not even like the working at Disney World
I know. Yeah. Okay, so we know that much.
Yeah.
So let's talk about like some of your experiences, like how it felt.
Mm-hmm.
Like how did it feel going into the park every morning?
Okay, I had not been to a Disney park since I was like 8 or 9 years old.
Which is odd because you grew up in Southern California.
I grew up like an hour away from Disneyland. Yeah. So it had been a very, very long time for me to experience Disney in general, which was like another crazy thing. Most people who do the Disney College program are like Disney fanatics. They grew up going every year or like being annual passes or being annual pass holders.
And I was an annual pass holder from Northern California. We'd drive down.
Yeah. And so you get a lot of those people that are in the program. And so I was like really skeptical. I was like, it's going to be fun.
Yes.
I was not expecting it to be magical. And so when we first did our training or like you're on board, whatever, it's like your very first day. They take you on just like a brief little walk through Magic Kingdom, and the magic just like hit me. I was like, oh, this is like so cool. And like even better than I thought it was going to be. I thought as an adult, like, I don't know, that I would just be like, oh, none of this is real. All the magic's gone because I'm not a little kid anymore.
Yes.
But even walking in as an adult, I was like, that's Mickey Mouse over there. Like, that's the real Mickey, you know?
Yes. Oh. And that's like really funny because in our experience because we've been to Disneyland a few times.
Yeah, quite
since getting married, and which is I didn't think would be even possible. Like, but we've made it possible a couple times.
Yeah.
And it's been kind of interesting to like mix like our experience together a little bit because you were mostly like you have the Disney experience of like stroll around the park. I mean, because the custodian is like you're just kind of like the showkeeper or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Is like wandering around.
Yes.
And just being part of the park.
Yes.
And for me, like especially into our teenage years, like we would go and it was like Christmas morning, and it still is. It still feels that way to me. Especially I'm like, we're going to be in the park tomorrow. Like I can't believe that.
Yeah.
And you know, me and my brothers, we would just talk about like what are all the rides we're gonna do, and my younger sister too. We're just thinking like, okay, what are the rides we're gonna hit, right?
Yeah.
And it's fun. It's fun to experience that both ways. But like that's kind of what I learned as we were going. You know, is I was like, she really wants to just like sit on the bench and be here, and that's cool. It's a magical place.
I was also pregnant the first time we went together.
Yeah, first time we went. Yeah. There's never been a real good circumstance for you to be in the park yet. I can't wait till we have teenagers. It's going to be like so fun.
It'll be so fun. But yeah, I think what makes the difference between a great cast member and a subpar cast member is to remember that even though it is a normal day for you at work, being in the parks, most people that come have made a lot of sacrifices.
Yes.
And like plan these trips and vacations for who knows how long and set aside the money and
To
just
do something so special for their family.
it's
Yeah.
a very, very, very big deal. And especially at Disney World, you get people from all over the world, like people from China. Like I saw so many people who did not speak English.
Yes.
And they were just there to experience it. And they're so excited to be there
Yes.
that even though I'm just like a lowly custodian, like it wasn't necessarily my job just to blend in, because that's what all other custodians
Yes.
do. It's my job to smile and be friendly and say hi and ask if they, I don't know, need directions, because it's really easy to find a custodian to ask where the nearest bathroom is.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
And so just like being approachable, I think can make a huge difference, because you could be a custodian and just be like, okay, I just want to put my head down.
Right.
I don't want people to talk to me. I just want to be a fly on the wall. But
yes.
you could be that custodian anywhere else in the world. You don't need to be that custodian at Disney
you don't
World.
need to be doing that there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what were some of your favorite experiences as being a custodian?
That's such a good question. So I primarily worked night shifts. Like,
Oh, really?
yeah, starting around like
I guess that makes sense, because you would always tell me about some of your favorite things.
my favorite things that happened at nighttime.
Yes.
No, but
I'll let you say it.
sometimes it was like the end of the night and they're like, okay, we're getting all of the custodians together and we're going to ride Tower of Terror.
Oh, so fun.
And so there we are.
Was that after people left the park?
No, people are still in the park.
Oh, but they were just rounding
was
up
like-
whoever was available.
And it was pretty much the end of the night where most people were like starting to clear out.
Right.
Or it was like during a fireworks show. And so usually, I mean, when you're in your uniform or your costume,
Yeah.
you're obviously not allowed to get on any of the rides. And so
Yeah.
it was just so fun for all of us to be in our white costumes and like be on the ride and like take this picture together and be like, this is so cool.
Right. Yeah.
But like, so that was an experience that we all did together as a group. But I would say even on my own, you have a lot of free range as a custodian.
Right.
So sometimes me and another custodian would just like see how far we could get backstage and like just like see what doors were open.
So what do you mean by that?
So in, let's say, the Tower of Terror building
Yeah.
that the ride is in, there are a lot of hallways and staircases and doors
Yes.
that are not available to the public. So anything that is not available to the public is considered backstage.
Right. And you're basically able to go through any door.
If it's unlocked, yeah, we would just go.
Yeah, and
And
they were like cool with that. They were like, if it's locked, then they want it locked, but if not, then you're cool.
Well, I think why we could get away with it is because as a custodian, you have to go through backstage areas in order to get onto secluded parts of rides.
Oh,
to
that
clean
makes
up
sense.
throw up or clean up urine. Sorry, that's probably really gross, but that's part of the job.
Yeah.
And so it just made sense that you would see a custodian sometimes
Yeah.
just walking around backstage.
Yeah.
But sometimes we had no purpose being there. We were just didn't have a task and
So
wanted
you're
to
just
see.
like, let's
wanted
just
to
go
see
see
what
what
we
it's
could
like
see.
over there. That's so fun.
Yeah. So I loved that experience. I loved when a ride was shut down because there was a code V or whatever.
Right.
That's what we would call vomit.
Yes.
And then
We get it.
you come in and you're the superhero with your spray bottle and your rags and your trash bags. And once you clean up the mess and you disinfect it, then the ride can start again and everyone starts cheering.
That's
Okay,
so fun.
that only happened to me like twice, but
Oh,
still,
okay, but it was still
It's
like everyone
like-
knew.
everyone knew why the ride was shut down. And so then when it's up and running and you're like, I did it, they're like, yeah, we get to ride.
Yeah. So what were the codes? I'm assuming there's no code P,
No, it's,
because P is confusing.
yeah.
Because that would be pee, poo,
Code
puke.
H?
H? What does that even mean?
I don't know. Human waste.
Human.
Wait,
Code
I'm
W.
it's
Waste.
Ah.
Code HW, and
Yeah,
it's not all
I
homework.
think it was code V and code H. but I
Oh,
could be
okay.
wrong. It's been a couple years since I worked there.
Oh, okay, got it. We don't need to hear more about it. I just wanted to say my code P thing. um, so okay, what else? What were your other favorite experiences? Because we talked about those.
Another thing that we got to do is super greeting for the show Phantasmic,
Yes.
which you wouldn't think that custodians would be in charge of that because it's literally just welcoming guests into a show.
Right.
But if you got a Phantasmic shift, you got to just prep all of the trash cans before the show and then go out and greet guests, and you had Mickey hands and bubbles and
Yeah.
just get pumped up, and there's music playing, and it was like always the best time because you're just with you're not always with your favorite coworkers, but you're with coworkers who are also really fun and
Right.
enthusiastic, and
Right. Everyone's happy to be there.
everyone's so happy to be there. And we would just meet the sweetest people. Like one time someone gave me a scrunchie that they had made, and I still have it, and it has Minnie Mouse all over it, and they had like an Etsy shop.
Yes.
They're like, oh, we love to give gifts to like cast members that make our trip really special. And I was like, me? Like I made your trip special?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, and just, okay, one more story.
Yeah. Yeah.
There were a lot of like Make-A-Wish Foundation children that you would see who were struggling with different illnesses or cancer.
Right.
And their wish, would be to go to Disneyland. Usually it's like their dying wish
Right.
or whatever, or Disney World. So we met this girl who had one eye, and
Oh, yeah.
I think it was eye cancer. I mean, we don't know what her circumstances were,
Right.
but she came up to us and like said hi and gave us high fives on our Mickey hands, and then she said, "Yeah, I only have one eye, like Mike Wazowski."
Oh my goodness.
And it was just like the sweetest, most tender experience.
Oh my
Because,
goodness.
like, here's just this sweet little girl.
just learning to cope.
Yeah, who has found a way to make her burden seem more bearable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's just, that's like so heart wrenching to hear.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you got to have that experience because you got to help her have a sweet time.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. We have just a little bit more time on here. But is there anything that you haven't talked about that you want to talk about?
I think I just want to briefly mention that even though working at Disney World was like a once in a lifetime opportunity,
Yeah.
and it can seem so picturesque and like I was just living the dream. And in some instances I was, I had a beautiful place that I got to go to work to every day. I had
Yeah.
great coworkers. I was as tan and fit as I've been in my whole life because I
Right.
was outside all the time.
Just walking.
Walking.
Yeah.
I struggled so much, like mentally and emotionally during that time,
Yeah.
that I had to end my program slightly early. And
Oh, I didn't know you had to end it early.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's called self-term.
Oh,
Where
okay.
you quit.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I quit.
And so I think even though like you might be looking at your friends who are in a different stage of life than you are, or experiencing something new or different that just seems like they have it all. They are living the dream. Like
Yes.
nothing could be wrong in their life. You never know what is actually going on
Yeah.
Like-
yeah. You don't.
deeper down.
No.
But I'm so thankful for everything I learned because of going through all of that experience and
Yes.
and learning how to cope when you're really far away from family.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's everything.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, it's really been cool to hear about this experience with you because like yeah, I've definitely been a Disney fan, and like regardless of how I feel about like the company generally speaking, because like, but the company's changed many times,
Mhm.
and I don't think people really want to watch Disney die. I think that people love the parks and
Mhm.
people love what they've done, and I especially appreciate what like Walt Disney has done like with the parks in the
Mhm.
first place.
Yeah.
And you see that goal still shining there,
Mhm.
regardless of everything surrounding it. So anyway, I just kind of wanted to mention that as just like, it's really cool that you had that opportunity, and it's fun to go experience the parks. And it's fun to experience the magic, and really magic happens because of creativity, and creativity is just organization of things that are there.
Yeah.
Right. And so it was just an organization, like even the original Disney park, it's like it was just an organization of like, here's some things that we know in life. We know about castles, we know about like a downtown street, right? We know about we have ideas about the future, right? So it's like just organize those things, and that made it so magic, while cutting out everything else outside that's not as organized as the mayhem of everyday life, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, anyway, did you have a quick spiritual thought?
Yes, very quick. So this episode was inspired because I taught a lesson in Young Women's on Sunday, and so I just wanted to share like a little snippet of what I learned.
And Young Women's are basically the teenager, so that we have Young Men's, Young Women's. That's teenagers at our church. So, yeah.
So it's like 12, I guess technically 11.
Yeah, it's technically like 11 to 18. Yeah.
And we were just talking about how, like, as Christians, sometimes it feels like you're going through the motions. Like maybe you're just, you're reading your scriptures, you're not getting much out of it, or you're going to church every Sunday because that's what you're expected to do. But when you know the reason why you were doing those actions, it makes it so much more meaningful and enriching, and invites the Spirit in your life.
Right.
And the reason for church, the reason for religion, the reason for spirituality is always, always Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Like it always comes back to him and his sacrifice for us in dying for us, atoning for our sins, and living for us. And so when we're able to point everything back to our Savior, and strive to always remember him every single week, that's when we have greater access to his power and his Spirit in our life.
I love that.
Yeah. So
I love that so much. And just kind of relating that to your experience, even at Disney, it's like, as magical as that is, it's not the gospel.
No.
Yeah. And you can find some purpose in working there, and some happiness, and fun. But it's like, compare that to what you're doing here in our family, right? So I just love that. It's like this is way harder, but how much more rewarding.
Right. Well, and it's funny to have been living that dream of working at Disney World.
Yeah.
But in that dream, I was dreaming about this time in my life.
Yes.
When I would have a husband and kids and raising a family.
Disney can kind of do that to you too, because it's like, I'm dreaming, but it's like they kind of, that was Walt's idea, right? It was like, we want you to dream big.
Yeah.
Dream outside of even this.
Yes.
This is just a launch pad, right? Yeah, I love that. Well, thank you guys so much for listening today. We really appreciate all of the support. We know we've been kind of up and down, and not posting as much sometimes, and changing things, and but we really appreciate you sticking with us if you have been. So we'll continue to put out content. Please follow us on Instagram and at the Perfectly Honest Podcast, and subscribe on YouTube too. We're gonna get some video content probably closer in this year when we have our own space and like that kind of stuff. So follow us there, and we will see you next week.
Bye.